As a self-proclaimed, unapologetic thriller fangirl, I read a ton of these, and most often the murder will happen in the first 5 chapters, and the rest of the story is all about the whodunit. How did we get here? I wanted that guilt to simmer for a very long time and see how the story would take shape after that. That said, I didn't want the victim of this crime to feel like an afterthought, and I felt that adding those perspectives of 3 people who think they know exactly what happened, who think they have all the details, um, but the reader kind of says, "Oh, well, that doesn't add up," as they get, the 3 distinct points of view and bits and pieces of the information as they read the story, and draw their own conclusion. And kind of what I love hearing from people who've read the book is that they switch sides. They start saying, "Oh, well, Sophia was completely wronged by these 2 monsters." But about halfway through the book, that sort of starts to change, and there's nuance to what all went down between these 3. And I love the kind of story where no one's hands are clean. And that sort of setup I thought was most conducive to telling that kind of story. The 10-year jump, they're on the precipice of getting their heart's desire. They say that the 2 worst things that could happen to a person is not getting what you want and getting exactly what you want. And they're this close to the second one. Brooke is an English teacher at a prestigious private school, and she just got engaged. So after a lifetime of what for Brooke feels like rejection, she has a very difficult relationship with her mother, who's very critical of her. She feels like she's finally settled, put her past behind her. She's totally in love, about to get married. Things are going great for Brooke. Caroline, who in many ways is a foil for Brooke, is this tough founder of a feminist tech startup that's really starting to gain traction, get an impressive client list, and they have the opportunity to score some major seed funding that could really launch it to the next level. So she's about to get that sort of next level of prestige and access for her brainchild. But then a major wrench is thrown into things where the crime that they committed, thought they got away with, rears its ugly head and interferes with all the above. As I was designing these characters, I did it intentionally so that they were faced with similar choices that they had 10 years ago. And they have opportunities to either basically dig deeper and double down on what they hid and what they thought they got away with, or they have to confront what they did and basically just face the ugly truth of it all. And that's where their paths kind of diverge, which was very interesting to sort of sink my teeth into psychologically. The ways the past confronts them in I'm trying to do that's a tough question to answer without plot spoilers. Um, I think, well, one thing that's literally on the back of the book is their friend turns up dead. So they very quickly are fearing for their lives. And it's not just, oh, my reputation's in danger, my relationship is hanging by a thread. It soon becomes I need to like physically survive this. So that ups the ante pretty quickly for both of them. I liked the idea of a shadowy presence. I know, and it is an old set, I don't want to say old, but it's been done before. I Know What You Did Last Summer setup, but I wanted to update it because I think with the advent of social media and with so many ways in which people's lives are public and accessible to anyone, we're so vulnerable now that even like 10, 15 years ago just simply was not a thing. I wanted to dive into that and make that sense of always being watched, always being exposed, like really crank that sense of paranoia up to 10. So I thought this was an opportune moment to update that premise. This is a piece of writing advice I give when asked, which is rare. So I'm going to pretend like you asked. Writer's block, have your characters talk to each other, like, or text each other, because hey, that's a thing now. Why not? Or comment on their social media, Instagram, have them have a troll and see how your character will react to that. that's where some of the most surprising to me, I didn't even know that my book would take the turns that it did until I had characters interact with each other. That wrote the plot for me several times. So that's always fun. There's a point in the book where there are some very difficult moral choices. Like, are you trying to survive as a business, you have to make money. To survive as a business that is trying to do social good, how do you square a ethical mission statement with a need to survive? At what point do you start making strategic choices versus moral choices? How do you balance the need to be in the black with the need to meet your goals? And I feel like many businesses struggle with that. Hopefully not to the extent that Equilibrium does. They really do hit a pretty dark, they get to a really dark place towards the end of the book. But that was a very, I don't want to say fun, because in the real world it's very not fun. That's a very pertinent, very difficult issue, but it's something I saw all around me, but at the time that I was writing, and it was a interesting ethical exercise, at least within the confines of my fictional book.